Have you taken up the gospel promises that are for today? If you're a Christian, you've grasped the gospel past. It's the foundation of your life. You are trusting in the death and the resurrection of the Lord Jesus Christ to save you from your sin. You're trusting Him for your salvation. You have grasped the gospel past. And you know something of the gospel future as well. You are living in anticipation of being with Him forevermore in the new heavens and the new earth. But living the Christian life isn't easy. It can be a battle, it can be a struggle, and often we make it harder for ourselves than actually it needs to be, because we're not living in the light of the gospel promises that are for us for today. And that's what this series is about, living in the light of those gospel promises that are for us today, grasping what the gospel gives us here and now at this moment in time. And in this series so far, we've looked at the gospel promises us forgiveness today. The gospel promises us forgiveness today. Freedom from the burden of our guilt and our shame over our sin. We've seen that the gospel promises us deliverance today as well. We don't have to go on in our sin. We can break those old sinful habits and ways. And we've seen that the gospel promises us power today. We're not going to overcome our sin in our own strength. We're not going to do it by our own ability, by our own greatness, because actually we don't have any strength for this battle ourselves. But we have the power of God at work in us, both to will and to do His good pleasure. The fourth gospel promise, the one I want us to think about today, is that the gospel promises restoration today. The gospel promises restoration today. I imagine every single one of us sometimes wishes that our lives came with a rewind button, that we could, in the words of Cher, turn back time, because we have said and we have done things that we wish we could delete, wipe away from our lives. That's perhaps especially true if you came to Christ later in your adult life. But we all actually have this type of regret, things that we wish we could undo, opportunities that we've missed, things that we would do differently if we were given the opportunity to do them again. And that type of regret can really weigh us down, and it can hold us back. But in the gospel, God provides an answer for us in dealing with this regret. The gospel promises us restoration. Not just in the new heavens and the new earth, not just in the future, but now, today, the gospel promises us restoration. This morning our text is taken from the Old Testament, and it's Joel 2 verse 25. So I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. This is God speaking, and He is promising His people that He's going to provide a harvest for them. A harvest so abundant, so big, that it's going to make up for all those previous harvests that have been destroyed by the plagues of locusts. But actually it's more than just a material promise. It's a spiritual promise as well. It's actually a promise of restoration in Jesus Christ. Paul Tripp writes, God is a restorer. The years haven't been wasted. In His sovereign love, God has been bringing us to a point of insight and conviction at just the right moment. His timing is always right. The process has been tailor-made to accomplish what He promised, a harvest of righteousness. And wonderfully, God promises to restore what has been lost in that process, so that we, His people, will not be put to shame. You know, I've seen people who have come to Christ later in their lives, and they've come after a wasted youth, and yet they've been so used by God in those later years of their lives. It's like they've crammed a lifetime of enthusiastic service for the Lord Jesus Christ into the years that they have left. In fact, quite often what you find is perhaps those who have had the most wasted of lives who come to the Lord Jesus Christ, they are the ones who do the most for Him afterwards. You know, we can't hit the rewind button. There is no delete button for us today in this life. But God promises us this, that through Jesus Christ, He will restore everything that the locusts have eaten, that we will not be put to shame. Amen.